So hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Question Block. And the last question was, if the Mario & Luigi series ever returns, how do you think it will be handled in terms of both developers and ideas for the game? And coincidentally, the Mario RPG remake was announced right after I asked the last question, and even though that isn't a new Mario & Luigi game, it is a new Mario RPG related thing. And I do feel like it does make a new Mario & Luigi game a little more likely, because if this sells well, I feel like Nintendo would be more likely to bring back the Mario & Luigi series, especially since there would be a higher demand for Mario RPGs, like traditional Mario RPGs. So yeah, I definitely feel like there is slightly more of a chance that the Mario & Luigi series could return. But anyways, I thought that was funny that that was announced after that question, but let's get into the responses. So Master Green J said, I would love to see a game that takes the series to the next step, like have optional multiplayer modes, have open world areas, and have a battle system that feels fun to play, but doesn't feel tedious. Yeah, I definitely feel like a new game could explore new concepts, especially if it's on the Switch or whatever Switch successor it is. I feel like it could definitely take advantage of like HD visuals and various like components on the Switch like HD Rumble or Gyro and things, since previous Mario & Luigi games kind of did that, kind of like with the DS, like with Bowser's Inside Story, it had the two different areas on two different screens, then had like Bros attacks that kind of made use of both screens. So, and then with the 3DS, they had Bros attacks that used gyro, and then also used the touchscreen as well. So yeah, I feel like if there was a new game on the Switch or whatever consoles coming next, I feel like it could definitely take advantage of those new features with various things in the game. And a multiplayer mode would actually be really interesting. That's something that could actually work pretty well in a Mario & Luigi game, since like you control two characters usually, or more than that, like in Paper Jam, where you have Paper Mario, or technically four characters and partners in time. But yeah, if there were like an option in the game where you could play as like Mario, one person could play as Mario and the other could play as Luigi, I think that could work out pretty well. Like, there aren't really enough multiplayer traditional RPGs, so I think it would be really cool if like a Mario & Luigi game had that, and they could even do something like a battle mode or something along those lines. I think that would be really cool, and yeah, I think that could definitely work out. So Nate Clone said, personally, the story is the least of my concerns, when the gameplay has always been the reason I enjoyed it, but I'd love to see a unique story just like the first four Mario & Luigi games. It's just not my number one priority if one happens to be announced. Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, because the gameplay has always been a strong point in the Mario & Luigi series. Like, I don't think there's any game in the series that has a bad battle system. They're all really fun and really interesting overall, as long as they keep that special combat that Mario & Luigi has and everything, like that really fun turn-based combat with like the Bros attacks and everything. I feel like that's definitely one of the most important things. However, I do feel like the story is really important, and the reason for that is because I feel like if they have too many games where the story feels kind of stale and uninspired, I feel like that's gonna bring the game down a decent amount. Like if like kind of like Paper Jam. I know Paper Jam isn't a bad game, and I kind of understand why a lot of people enjoy it, but it personally wasn't for me, because like it really, like the story just really wasn't that interesting for me, and it really didn't give me that much of an incentive to play through the game, because if there's a long 30-hour RPG, well, that's not that long for an RPG, but sort of long for something like that. But if it's like a 30 to 35-hour game, I want it to have something interesting to it to keep me engaged. like some interesting story. It doesn't have to be too in-depth, because the stories in the Mario and Luigi games, well, sometimes they can be very good. They're not, like, exactly as good as, like, other RPGs, but I think the story should at least be interesting enough, to keep you engaged through, like, a 25 to 35 hour game, and should have, like, at least, like, a few unique characters and good world building and different things like that. But I can understand why gameplay is the #1 priority for you, because that's always been a strong point in the series. So Toolstar said, if it does return, then I think Goodfield would handle it, because they did the giant battles in Dream Team. I really hope they bring Phantasma back, because he's not guaranteed dead. He can create decoys of himself, so Mario and Luigi could have killed a decoy. Yeah, I think that would be interesting. Like, with Goodfield, I'm not sure what they're working on currently. I know they have developed some games outside of Nintendo, but they could be working on something right now. They might be doing that untitled Princess Peach game that they revealed, because some of the models in that game do kind of look like the Yoshi series a little bit. Like, some of those characters walking around, they kind of look like something out of Yoshi's, either like Yoshi's Crafted World or Yoshi's Island, something like that. It seems like it has that similar style to it, so it might be Goodfield doing that game, but they could also be doing something else, and I would think it would be interesting if they did a Mario and Luigi game, since they did do giant battles in the past. And with Phantasma, I think that would be interesting if they fleshed out his character more, and kind of like how they did with Fawful in Superstar Saga in Bowser's Inside Story, like, give him another game to make him even more interesting and even more powerful, like, have him show his, like, final form or something like that. Because in Dream Team, like, Bowser was basically, like, the ultimate, final boss in that game, so I think it would be cool to see, like, some, final, form of Phantasma, so I think that would be pretty cool if we got that. And yeah, Antforce said, I think the most plausible would be Mario & Luigi Superstar Collection, a remaster of all 5 games, and maybe some side stories on the 3DS remakes too. Yeah, I think that could definitely work, since they are doing 3DS remakes of the Switch, like Miitopia and the Mario and Luigi, or not Mario and Luigi, but Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. They're doing that remake, so they could possibly get Grezzo to do a remake of the Mario and Luigi games. I'm not sure what style it would use. It might just be like an upscaled version of the 3DS games, but I think it would be cool if we actually got, like, HD sprites for it, like actual kind of like in that general, like, hand-drawn style that we've gotten from the artwork in the Mario and Luigi series. I think that would look really cool, and might even kind of have like maybe even like hold over a lot of fans until we get like a brand new Mario and Luigi game. So something like that, like a Superstar Collection, would be really interesting, though it would be kind of hard to translate some of the DS and 3DS specific controls, like the touchscreen and different things like that, onto the Switch. That might be a bit difficult, but I feel like they could have like some workarounds and things. They could do something like gyro or pointer controls to kind of handle some of those touchscreen controls for some of the games. So yeah, I think that would be really cool, and it would definitely help to kind of bring back the series and introduce the series for a lot of people. And yeah, Snailicorn Sound said, get Next Level Games to develop it, and have Wario and Waluigi be playable characters, or bring back classic villains like Wart or Tatonga. Yeah, Next Level Games is also a possible developer for this. Next Level Games haven't really done any RPGs in the past, but I feel like they could be capable of doing something like that. I mean, there are some developers that do an RPG for the first time and it actually works out pretty well. I think with Rezo, they did like Ever Oasis, and that was like one of their first new RPG projects, and I think that worked out pretty well. So yeah, next level games could possibly handle it. And Wario and Waluigi would be really cool. Like, even something like a whole Mario and Luigi style game starring Mario and Waluigi, like Wario and Waluigi partners in crime, would be pretty cool to see. And yeah, Wario really hasn't been in any Mario RPGs. Like, he was almost in Superstar Saga, but was cut. And there's a similar character in Super Mario RPG called Booster, but that's a different character than Wario. So yeah, and then Waluigi, really the only thing we've gotten out of the Mario RPGs that references Waluigi is the one, the W and L emblem being put together in Thousand Year Door. That's really the closest thing to Waluigi being in any of the RPGs, as well as Wario too, with the W emblem in Thousand Year Door. But it would be really cool to see them in a Mario and Luigi game. They could have different moves, like Wario could have the shoulder bash, and different things like that, and Waluigi, I'm not sure what Waluigi would have. Maybe he would have like a tennis racket or something. And then like Bort or Tatonga returning, like different classic characters like that. Even like Foreman Spike, since he was in the movie, that would be really cool. Maybe even some of the smaller villains as well, like the different bosses in Super Mario Land 2 or Super Mario Land. And then also SMB 2 as well. So yeah, I think it would be cool to bring like classic villains back. They could even make that like the whole kind of theme of the game. And I think that would be nice. So Mr. Observador said, hopefully not like Paper Jam. That game felt uninspired. Yeah, like I said before, I didn't really have much incentive of playing through Paper Jam because the story really wasn't that interesting. Sure, it had some interesting dialogue here and there, but I don't really feel like that carries a game. Like, I can give Origami credit, or Origami King credit, for, at the very least, having some interesting environments and a few interesting characters. Even though that game was held back by a lot of, like, restrictions and everything, Origami King at least had like a lot of interesting environments going for it. But with Paper Jam, I don't really feel like that's the case. Like, most of the environments are kind of generic. Like, they either look like they're straight out of New Super Mario Bros. Wii, or just look like very bland and uninspired areas, almost like how some of the modern Mario sports games post Ultra Smash kind of look. Like some of the areas in Mario Golf and Mario Tennis on the Switch kind of look uninspired. So I feel like that's probably the closest comparison I can give to some of the areas in Paper Jam, as well as some of the less interesting areas in Dream Team, because there were a few areas in Dream Team that didn't really look that interesting. And when I say areas, I don't mean like whole regions in the game, I just mean specific rooms that don't really look that interesting. And I mean, I guess that's in every Mario and Luigi game, or basically every Mario RPG. But I feel like Paper Jam really doesn't have any areas that stand out. Like, they mostly kind of look boring or just uninspired in general. So yeah, I really hope we get something that actually feels interesting. And the hopeful thing about a new Mario and Luigi game not being like Paper Jam is the fact that Paper Jam, I feel like the reason why it was generic is that they couldn't really find many ideas of incorporating the Paper Mario characters into the game, or incorporating an interesting story with the Paper Mario characters. So I feel like there were some problems with that. Yes, I do feel like there were some restrictions in there, especially with Kensuke Tanabe on the team, but I also feel like they didn't really have a lot of ideas for the game, and it had a very weird direction. So yeah, I feel like a new Mario and Luigi game with an actual original idea and an actual original theme could go for a more interesting direction. So yeah, Super Plush Films said, even though I want an original or the original team to return, I will say Monolith Soft would be an excellent choice to make the Mario and Luigi games due to the Xenoblade games. You know, honestly, I kind of agree. And even though Monolith Soft is kind of known for making the Xenoblade games, they actually have made a lot of different games in other styles. Like, they've made the Baten Kaitos games, the Xenosaga games, Project X Zone, which is a very different style from a lot of the other games they developed. They helped with the development of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They even assisted the development of some of the modern Pikmin games and Animal Crossing, Splatoon. So they've worked on a lot of different games. I mean, sure, most of the things they've done are in terms of like modeling in the worlds and different things. But since they are like very experienced in making RPGs, I feel like they could actually pull off a Mario and Luigi game, possibly with the help of another developer. Like, if it was both Monolith Soft as well as like Next Level Games or something like that, or even like, let's say, like Intelligent Systems working on the game along with Monolith Soft, I feel like it could possibly work out. And I feel like it could definitely make a very like modern looking Mario and Luigi game. But yeah, I think that would be pretty interesting. Like, even though the Xenoblade games are very different from the Mario and Luigi games, like Monolith Soft in general, they've been working on a lot of different projects over the years. So, Raymond Von Cheeseburger Jenkins said, "In my honest opinion, I have the fear that it will suffer the same fate as Paper Mario. The last game, Paper Jam, introduced 0 original characters." Yeah, that is kind of a valid concern to have considering how Paper Jam handled things. But since I mentioned that the Mario mandates really aren't a thing anymore, like in the last video, the last kind of discussion video that I did, I kind of discussed that the Mario mandates really aren't a thing anymore. They kind of did exist back around 2015 when Paper Jam released. Like, there were heavier restrictions around that time, but I feel like nowadays, like, it's definitely more lenient, especially outside of Paper Mario, where they can do things such as different genders or ages on the Toads in Super Mario RPG have a lot of different original characters, like in Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Wonder, different games like that. Even Luigi's Mansion 3, even the Mario sports games have a decent amount of original characters. So I feel like they could definitely make a very unique and interesting Mario and Luigi game nowadays, especially now during the Switch era. If it isn't developed by the Paper Mario team, I feel like I definitely have a lot of hope in whatever we could get for the next Mario and Luigi game. So yeah, we'll just have to see. So yeah, even though that the next Mario and Luigi game is very unlikely, I do think there's still a chance, since the Mario RPG remake is happening, and there is a lot of demand for more traditional Mario RPGs, so I feel like it could happen at some point. And yeah, I think it would be pretty interesting if it was made by a different developer. And just all that I hope, if it's developed by a different developer, is that they mostly keep the original system intact and don't alter it too much. So yeah, the next question is, what is your favorite aspect of Super Mario Bros. Wonder that we've seen so far? So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server if you want to. Goodbye.